of you guys, I had some. I stayed up last night.
Not by choice for part of it, but still.
Yeah. Fuck me, right? So, you step into the woods of Oris and Darshi, the mystical woods of theirs, and you hear the daunting, bouncing around, echoing voice of Oris as you take this. At least this time, you've gotten more than a dozen steps in.
I got
before
7, or not 7. That's less than a dozen.
17, we'll say. You hear Oris say, shout, speak, echo out to you. Oh, our lumber-footed Ken. To what do we owe the annoyance?
In a weird way, I feel like that's like an upgrade to what you used to think of me.
Say your piece and make it quick.
Fair enough. Our group was planning to head to the Feywilds soon. Yeah, I know, stupid. It's fucking stupid.
Suicidal, more like. Let's go on.
Since you lot have familiarity with strange magical forests, I was wondering if you had any idea of what could be going on there, or advice for going on there, I should say.
Do you hear this, sister? I do. You hear them both, their voices like echoing, laughing, like simultaneously. Like these weird, I don't know, I was gonna say like hag-esque cacklings.
So I was just kind of like leaning on a tree, like, okay, now here's the insulting part, and then the possible actual information part. Just waiting.
Darshi goes, do you truly have such a death wish?
I personally don't, but some people in our group do. And I'm not exactly going to abandon them at this point.
How loyal of you.
Yeah.
There is always Sesheb's words on loyalty and death through such, but I'll spare you that. I don't think you'd listen anyways. Do you know where you're going?
We have a general idea of where we're aiming, but from the sounds of how we're getting there, no.
Oh, then this might be the last time we see you. Thank the gods.
Unless you two, for some reason, have a way into the Feywilds.
No, they both say simultaneously.
You were the second best. You were the best bet I had. Anyways.
What do you think, brother? Should we help the lost Kenoars one last time? The deeper she goes in, the harder it is to get out. Why not? Very well. You see Darshi step out from behind a tree about like 40-some feet ahead of you. Enter into our woods. Come closer.
Part of like the back of Sandra's mind is like, this is part of the lesson. She's gonna do it nonetheless.
Darshi leans on the tree that she stepped around, leaning on it, waiting for you to come closer. And as you get closer, she stands up off of it and then gestures with a finger to just follow her deeper into their woods. I really hope we don't get copyright struck, because I think Studio Ghibli has a pretty strict copyright policy. Anyways.
Well, at the same note, like, these videos aren't monetized anyway, so I don't think they would take it down.
This is a good point, but there are times where it says, I looked into this playlist, and it said blocked in your country for, like, 60% of the playlist.
Odd.
How dare they block the US? Anyway, so you
I
follow
mean,
Darshi.
I always have the physical recording if we ever truly care, so...
This is true.
Yeah, anyways.
You follow Darcy deep into the forest, and it changes. It becomes more clear, less thickets, less roots jutting out of the ground, less overgrown. And then you eventually come into what you constitutes as a, all natural equivalent of a living room, a sitting space, a lounging area.
But like, is it made of like natural materials, like a
Entirely.
Mm-hmm.
You see like leaned back chairs made of bramble woven together. You see a fire that sits in the middle of the place like any normal campfire would. There's a table over yonder made of a split in half down the middle log. And you see that Orist is there as well, drinking something as he's himself is sitting on that same table. Take a seat. Darcy goes,
Very well.
gesturing to the bramble formed chair.
She does as requested.
As you sit down on it, it has a bit of give to it, like it bends.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a solid thing. It's like more like a net. It doesn't give like entire. It's not like sitting in like a beanbag chair. It just dips like an inch or so at most.
Like it's almost cushioned.
Yeah, it's comfy. More comfy than you were expecting from a thing made of
made of thorns.
Vines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bramble, is that like a vine covered in thorns, or?
As far as I'm aware, it's just a lot of vine.
Gotcha. I had a different image in my head. Anyways.
It's a type of plant, technically, but it's not... The term itself is not specific to the plant.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. So, you sit down, and Oris is just sort of nonchalantly looking at the fire itself as Darcy goes over to her brother, grabs an apparatus, which I guess is more akin. It's like an Asian style like teapot with like a side handle sticking out of it, as opposed to like a more like British a little teapot, short and stout. She pours herself some of its contents, begins drinking it as well. They do not offer anything to you. Don't ask. So, where to begin? She says, asking Oris. It's clear she won't listen to reason of not going. Of course. They both go simultaneously. I know where a good place to start is. Go on. He looks you dead in the eyes. If you intend to stay in the realm or hold of a fairy, do try your best at being their guest.
Do you mean that literally? Or do you mean that as in just be polite?
Both would serve you well. He stands up off the lumber table. To be called and deemed a guest in a fairy's hold means that they are not allowed to attack you, at least not directly. Of course, the catch is you are not allowed to attack back. You are, of course, free to deny guesthood, but you have to do such when they initially offer it. You cannot back out halfway.
I'm assuming that guesthood, in quotation marks, is not exactly offered openly.
It depends on the fairy. Both Darcy and I have been guests to a couple of fairies ourselves. Although I would tell you that you shouldn't stay in the realm of a fairy. You should endeavor to constantly move.
Why so?
He looks at Darcy with you can see under his mask a smirk. And she returns the same sort of conspiratorial smirk. Some fairies like to keep their guests forever. and they do not need to kill you to do such. Going past that, knowing you and your lot, she sets her, her wooden teacup on the table. Knowing you and your lot, you're likely going to try to catch your breath here and there, resting, camping, what have you. There will be some part of you while you're there that will want to stay just a little bit longer. Fear or paranoia. Fear of not knowing what the next realm is like. Paranoia that the realm you're currently in is as good as it's gonna get. These are fair things to feel. But crush them in your mind. If you wish to traverse the Feywilds, you must embrace it. The ways of the Feywild are like fairies in general. Fickle. Subject to both illogical foundation and mortal reasoning in a contradictory manner. She looks over at Oris. He nods sagely with it. Do not attempt to think through their ways. Not even we can figure some of them. They're eternal, and they're certainly not bound to any mortal mindset. They have a patience which can outlive all of us. And such eternity might bring its own level of insanity. Or hypersanity. Is insanity subjective? Or shrugs. And he looks at you. Go with the tides of chaos, or be crushed under their sweep. Do not dwell. Do not dwell in a realm.
Mm-hmm.
There are some fairies which will let travelers pass through, only if they're passing through. Attempts at camping, staying, will irritate them, or worse.
What if you leave something behind while passing through?
They both get a pained look on their face.
I don't like that.
Oris looks over at his sister. I suppose it's a good thing she talked to us then. It's a good thing anyone talks to us, or especially on these matters. Lumber-footed kennel hours. I will say this once. Listen well. Never, ever give a fairy a gift. To do so would be to insult their honor, their integrity, their power. Fairies do not take gifts. All you offer them is an insult or pity, neither of which a true fairy, cares about. Never leave something behind. Be like, I know this is such a hard concept for you to grasp.
Yeah.
Be as if you were camping properly. Leave no trace. There goes O.
He's been assassinated. Anyways.
Gods above. I always thought that was a common notion. Apparently not.
It's a common enough notion, but there's a reason for the asking. It's not important. Is there a way to determine what is just the general Feywilds versus someone's specific realm?
They both say no simultaneously.
That'll be far too easy.
The Feywilds is its own possession. you're constantly on someone's territory. You see Oris like tapping his chin, contemplating something. He looks away at the deep into the forest, thinking, letting his sister speak. What else? I've had to deny this notion multiple times in my travels. Oh. Let me dismiss to you the comical notion that it is always twilight in the Feywilds. It seems a very, very widely spread misinterpretation. I blame legends. Daishi nods along with it, smirk on her face. The Feywilds themselves are twilight, this is true. But do not expect it to be a dimly lit or brightly lit twilight wherever you travel. The fairy in control of a realm can change such at any time. There will be times where more clever, deceptive fairies will make it look like you're in the mortal realm. And obviously, the mortal realm is not constantly twilight. So, keep that in mind. If you stumble into a place that is not twilight, controlling it and that it wants, think you're back home. Do not fall prey to it. Speaking of falling prey to things. Oh. While you're in their home realm, don't bother trying to kill it. Don't bother trying to kill a fairy. You'll be wasting your time and effort and resources.
Do they just pop back up?
Some do. Don't get me wrong, there's certainly pathetically weak fairies that you might be able to kill in the Feywilds, but she has a wicked smile. If only she had feline eyes, and you would truly mistaken her for the fairy she speaks of. Looks are deceiving. And if you do actually end up killing one, they'll just come back, and then all you have done is made an enemy for eternity. So, my piece of advice for that, don't waste your time or your life doing such. And if you do plan on doing such, save a bullet for yourself. Some fairies have a long time to get vengeance. Is there anything else she should know, brother? Nothing that springs to mind. Unless she wants to know something specific. They both look at you expectantly.
Garth can't think of anything.
I gave you guys time to think of what you're gonna say.
I know, but you've covered most of everything I was thinking of, so it's like shit.
Well, then, if you don't have anything,
any advice on attempting to find a specific individual in the Feywilds?
find a guide. They both say simultaneously.
And how would you find a guide?
They have two different answers for this. Or says pray to the gods, and Darcy says luck.
Both equally applicable here, because one of the gods is based on luck anyways. Hey, that was something.
This does surprise Darcy. Like she gets like a curious look on her face, like her eyebrow quirks at hearing her brother say something different, and she looks at him, noting the presence from her, the aura, as well as the silence. He looked over at her, and she has like this smirk on her face. Yes, the girl has been getting to you. It's sound advice. Yes, but not one I think you advocate. Oris ignores her. Pray or be lucky, or pray to be lucky.
What got you two into this position of interacting with fairies and having this knowledge, anyways?
This answer is the same and simultaneous. Birth.
I can't think of anything specific to that. But since I might die anyways...
Oh. You're finally getting it.
Oh no, I figured that from the beginning. I was just ignoring that fact because it's...
No, if you really did get it, you wouldn't be going. But go on.
What is your relation with the god of bonds? Or the fell god, I should say.
The what?
Garth has to remember the name, even though he wrote it down. Oh, did I not write it down? I think I'm stupid and dirt. Bond Forger...
I'm just sit here.
Bond Forger no deva.
Thank you, Kirsty. I forgot to write it down. Look, in my defense, I was unbelievably stressed out the entire time last time. Could you write the name down for me real quick? Because I can't find it for some reason.
Oh, what a shame.
It's
there.
There
I know it's there. I know because I put it in.
Yeah, I know. I found it. Bond Forger no Deva.
Never heard of him. Let me some fell god.
Related to Kalen? The black-haired gunslinger that showed up lately?
Thought that was her. What a joy. Shame she wasn't around for the Night of Tempest. She would have been helpful. Always need more cannon fodder.
Yeah, she had her own reasons to leave.
Don't we all have our own reasons for anything? It's not a valid excuse.
Nevertheless, either you two have anything about them?
I've never heard of them. Oris looks at you. Looks at Dorothy. Looks back at you. Between the two of us, she's more knowledge. So if she doesn't know anything, there's no chance I do.
I had interaction with her, with Kalen in the past. Beyond just a passing conversation.
We try to make all our interactions passing conversations.
Yes, but did you achieve that with her?
She tried. She tried. Speaking of passing conversations, perhaps it's time for you to entertain the first word of that and be on your way. We've entertained you long enough. And you've gotten more advice from two very knowledgeable sources than most people ever get in their lifetime. So, she unleans herself from the lumber table and does like a shooing motion. Go on. Doesn't matter which way you go. You'll be back at the tree line regardless.
Garth wants. Fine, she'll just fucking leave.
You leave. Not hearing them talk or say anything at you or to each other as you leave. Go back at the tree line. With some newfound information. And such as